Man, Henry Cavill just cannot catch a break. If it isn't for his co-star in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare continuing to stick his entire foot and the rest of the cast's feet in his mouth with his terrible interviews, he ends up getting a passion project and it completely and totally folding in on itself at the worst possible time. This guy literally can't catch a break, and he's one of the best in the industry. I'm beside myself whenever I talk about Henry Cavill because the guy's so good. He just can't catch a break. The poor guy. Because I'm sure you've heard about it at this point in time, but yes, Warhammer 40K, one of the last bastions of modern politics, of free science fiction properties. Well, yeah, man, they've been claimed after years and years of lore gatekeeping. Crack in the dam is formed, and well, it's over, guys. It's over. Games Workshop makes insulting retcon to Warhammer 40K lore, claims the all-male Adeptus Cadre faction, as always, featured female members. That would be like saying, I'd imagine we'll probably see this maybe by the end of the year, maybe a little bit longer, but we'll definitely see it in some point in time because the activists have been pushing it. We will see female space marines, and if you know the lore, you know how absolutely absurd that is, but this is the first. This is the first of many capitulations to a group that's never going to buy your figures anyways, okay? Why do you keep doing this? Where have you seen concessions like this get made and your audience actually grow? No examples. This continues to fail over and over again, but what? You're gonna win this time around. Cool. I bet you Star Wars thought the exact same thing back in the cut. In a development that can only be best described as massively insulting to the intelligence of their player base, Warhammer 40K developers Games Workshop has taken to claiming that, despite years of official canonical evidence to the contrary, the game's all-male Adeptus Custodes faction has always included female members amongst its ranks. Spoilers. It hasn't. Now, I'm not the biggest Warhammer 40K guy, okay? And it's kind of analogous to the Star Wars situation, hence the example that I used, but I listen to quite a few people that are heavy in 40K, so by proxy and by association, I simply pick up some stuff. It seems incredibly cool, but it also seems incredibly daunting from an outsider's perspective, and it's kind of cultivated that persona, and I respect the source material simply for that. This retcon of the franchise's long-standing lore was first revealed to the public on April 13th, courtesy of YouTuber Ash Barker's preview of the upcoming 10th edition of Warhammer's 40K guidebook, Codex Adeptus Custodes. Okay, that makes sense. Wherein eagle-eyed viewers notice that the book's introduction of the actual Adeptus Custodes and their lore, Games Workshop has specifically chosen to highlight a battlefield story concerning a custodian by the name of Calades Taruvalia Kesh. Okay. Custodian Calades Kesh stood up on the bridge of the Cobra class commander, begins a paragraph in the section subheader. This solar fastness, named Vigilant Flame, the warship belonged to a mighty battle fleet solar. She endured, and everybody's like, wait, pause. She? Is that a typo? Normally they don't do oh no. Endured the shadows at the back of the bridge, positioned to the spot where she observed the actions of every crew member, and they stood in the instrumentation pits and the armament shrines, or in the case of shipmaster Lethwick, stood ramrod straight before the command throne. She noticed that some of the engineers weren't doing their job correctly, and that she figured it out very quickly because she's the bestest ever, and she decided that, right course of action was to bypass the compressor, and everything started working appropriately. As noted above, prior to the publication of the Codex Adeptus Custodes, the concept of a female custodian didn't exist. Yep, Legion of 10,000 elite, genetically modified warriors who serve for the personal guard of the ruler of the Imperium of Man, the God, Emperor of Mankind. As explained in the initial introduction of the 2017 Codex Space Marines 8th edition, the members of the Adeptus Custodes begin their lives as infant sons in the noble houses of Terra. Yeah, there's a quote from the 8th edition right there. Elaborating for a brief bit of lore 3 years later in the guidebook's 9th edition printing, Workshop additionally detailed potential custodians have taken at a very young age to better survive, no older than late infancy, and it is a great honor for those of Terran noble houses to submit a son. Because yeah, you're dealing with a very, very different, like, world's not even the appropriate term for what we're dealing with here, but we'll go with it for the example, where guess what? You choose the best people suited for battle, not to fill a diversity quota. Okay. Further, when asked point blank by a fan in 2019 whether Custodes can be female, longtime series lore contributor Aaron Demsky Bowden, even despite his own openness to the idea, admitted the God Emperor's elite had canonically always been presented as male. At the time of working on the lore, there's no reason there couldn't be male or female, and as far as things stand, there's still no reason in the lore they can't be, explained the Horus Heresy novelist that commented, or the comment posted on of course, on a subreddit. There is no non-lore reasons, which was the previous IP overlord Demsky Bowden, did not specify the respective entity or individual, saying there are no female custodian models, they're all male, so don't write any female ones. Yeah, exactly, because that's the lore. And if it's your job to adapt material for the lore, guess what? You respect the lore. It's not that difficult, man. Working on a project, you're working on a property with well-established boundaries and rules, you follow them. You stop trying to introduce your own pet ideologies. It's really simple. It's really simple. But no. This has made the rounds. Well, to say that people aren't happy about this decision would be a massive understatement. So here you have the pre-order for Codexes, battle boxes, all the new stuff that's going to be coming out. With the 10th edition guidebook, you have somebody here asking, why did you make female Custodes? Since the first of the 10,000 were created from the official Warhammer account, there have always been female custodians. There has always been females. The Force has always been female, guys. You just have to deal with it. We're the Custodes, and you got to deal with it. That's the way that, I don't know, the new ideologues want to treat the project, who probably don't care that much about it, which brings us back to the Henry Cavill Warhammer 40K project, where you have an actual fan. You have somebody who knows the lore inside and out, somebody who, in multiple interviews, not even prompted sometimes to talk about it, takes every opportunity to gush about 40K. And the fact that in modern day, you have somebody making a project, they say a movie, I heard TV show, does it really much matter, working on the Warhammer 40K project with Amazon money, knowing that Amazon recently put out Fallout, which has received pretty decent reviews, all things considered. They have Reacher, which, again, I'm pointing out two very popular examples, but ones that are also wrought with problems. And then, once again, Henry Cavill, at a point in time where everybody's just happy he can work on something that he can sink his teeth into, the property decides to undercut him. There is nothing this guy can do. I don't know, did he run over all the black cats in his neighborhood? Did he live underneath a ladder factory, a constantly open ladder factory? This guy has no luck at all whatsoever. It's a crime at this point in time. Henry Cavill is keeping his cards close to his chest when it comes to Amazon's Warhammer 40K project, but he has said how important it is to him. God, it's just so nice to go ahead and cleanse ourselves with somebody appreciating being able to work on a project instead of just, I don't know, Taika Waititiing it when it comes to Thor, Love and Thunder. Yeah, I just wanted to buy... No, that was about Ragnarok. I don't know, I was in a tight spot and I needed the money. Or recently, with another analogous franchise, you had Halo Season 2 just wrap up. Anybody notice? No, exactly. Because the people working on that stuff, hell, you could even argue the game studio currently working on the franchise don't even care about Halo anymore. They just wanted to put Johnny Rings on the screen, thinking that people would actually give a shit after that abomination that was Season 1. I used to be a huge Halo fan, but you couldn't pay me enough money to sit through that tripe. And now that they've completely defiled everything and want to start working towards the 343 lore, it's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. At a point in time, man, where you actually start to have these types of adaptations which look to become the next trend that Hollywood is going to run into the ground. This is the point in time where you need to start creating the foundation. You need to start seeing The Last of Us quality projects. High budget, well acted productions, and fewer, I don't know, I think Velma's coming out next week. That ought to be fun. Here's what Henry has to say about 40K. It is the greatest privilege in my professional career to have this opportunity. Do you think he's happy about this? Okay. The Argyle Exile, Superman, and Witcher Star said, can you like point to anything that he's been in that's been successful though? He was in Mission Impossible, Fallout, Man from Uncle. Star said of his 40K project in an interview with Josh Horowitz, I can't say too much, again, it's early days, but to have this opportunity to bring it on screen and to be at the tiller is, so it can be faithful is key to me. This is the stuff I've been dealing with since I was a kid. This is the stuff I spend my free time daydreaming about as an adult as well. Man, I get to bring it to life. There's no greater reason I joined the industry than to do something like this. Oh, man, it's fantastic to see on one hand, and then on the other, just to have the franchise take a dump on this guy, knowing that that's going to do nothing but endanger bad will and apathy towards this project when it eventually does come out. I hope it's great. I'll be paying attention to it because whatever Henry Cavill does, I normally pay attention to because I just want the guy to succeed. Because he's exactly what the industry needs. But because that's exactly what the industry needs, that's the reason that he continues to get undercut at every single turn. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.